I have some legal questions, which I have a lot of legal questions. One of the legal questions listed about the individual segments of the contract. And the city attorney went down, talked with Mr. Bennett and walked through two things that came out of it. There were a lot of things that came out. The last two was that the airport manager was supposed to supply the ground vehicle and supply his own tug. That was dated 17 August 2015. The contractor responsible for providing the airport tug and the ground vehicle. In essence, the city has supplied a farm tractor that was designed to be used for maintenance of the airport, that has been pressed into service by the FBO to use as a tug. While on occasion it's been used for mowing, its primary use has been moving aircraft. Since its utilization by the FBO for tasks that are clearly the FBO's responsibility, this equates to subsidizing the airport manager. And has to date been a lack of oversight of the city council. This use of the Kubota tractor outside of its original use as it was intended and purchased for required the city to go out and purchase another tractor, a New Holland to mow. So we have two tractors out there to mow, one being used as a tug primarily. When this tractor is used as a tug, because it belongs to the city, it would appear to me that the city is now liable for its use moving around expensive aircraft. The courtesy car or ground transportation is the responsibility of the FBO. Having the vehicle there to give to anyone to drive departs from all the rules of the city. It has been done for many years. It is properly insured. But nowhere else in the city can private individuals use a city vehicle. In the contract requires the FBO to have on-site lease vehicles for people who come in here. To me, this thing is pretty plain. I move that the Kubota tractor be returned exclusively to maintenance to be used for airport mowing, and the airport vehicle be returned to the city for disposition to comply with the contract 1 month from today.
Do I hear a second on the presented motion? No second, therefore the motion will fail. Next item on the agenda is the airport audit.
Larry, can I be recognized,
I'm
sir?
sorry, yes sir, Mr. Kidwell.
I wanted to address the topic that Councilman Susan was just speaking of. With the mayor's permission, I'd like to address Mr. Bennett personally just for 1 moment to wish him my condolences on the loss of his father. My sincere condolences for the loss of your father. Okay. For me, I have an interest in this airport. I grew up out there. My father was the sector field chief for the Federal Aviation Administration from about 1969 to about 85. So I've fixed those airport lights, runway lights more than I can tell you, some of the worst weather you can imagine. And built a facility out there. I don't know if it's still operational, but my father and I built the ILS out there, the instrument landing system. Okay. So I put in a little bit more blood and sweat out there than some of y'all might realize. And that airport was the heart and soul of my father. Okay. I also have an interest that was a taxpayer. Now, I've read the reports, the report that Councilman Souza, I've listened to the meetings twice, and I've read the newspaper article on this deal. And I'd like to say that I'm not going to come at individual council members. I don't think it's necessary. When I listened to some of the commentary in these meetings, I was sad. I was disappointed. I felt like that the taxpayer was not being considered at all. And I think that is the utmost concern of this council. You are fiduciaries for the taxpayers of this city. City of Crossville does not exist in a vacuum. We are the city of Crossville. You guys are the fiduciaries of our money. Okay? I do not agree that this was a witch hunt. I read the report. It was very comprehensive. It was 100 and some pages long. Okay? It was a business report. Councilman Souza pointed out something, and this is why I do not believe it was a witch hunt. This is in the report. Councilman Souza asked, after reviewing the contract and investigating the facts, I think this question was posed to the city attorney, is the operator in default of any responsibility or obligation under the contract? The answer was yes. I know this is not newsworthy. The following terms of the contract are currently not being complied with by the FBO. Ground transportation is currently being paid for by the city and should be maintained and paid for by the FBO. The city owns the vehicle and pays for the insurance and maintenance on the vehicle. The FBO is required to provide an air tug capable of moving and transporting all types of aircraft. The city is currently providing a tractor for this service. The FBO does have an air tug. However, according to the FBO, it is not capable of transporting larger aircraft. Okay? I brought this for demonstration purposes. The picture I'm about to hold up, sorry. This is what an aircraft tug looks like. This is what a farm tractor looks like. Okay? In the contract, it states quite clearly, he will provide an aircraft tug capable of moving and transporting all types of aircraft, landing and being stored at the airport. Now, I'll tell you why this is a bad idea to use a farm tractor. Number one, it's his responsibility to provide it. Why are we using taxpayer dollars to fund an independent contractor and pay for this? You got a city contract going on right now where you're tearing up the streets. In that contract, you provide his equipment for him? I doubt it. And any businessman in this town ought to have the right to use that tractor just like he does. That's what you're saying. Number two, it's liability. Like I said, I've been around aircraft and I know what it's all about. You ever heard of a shotgun lawsuit? If an aircraft goes down, these lawyers, they just they file lawsuits like a shotgun pattern. Everybody. I know what I've done on a farm tractor. I've rode on one all my life. Sometimes I missed a gear and I put it in fourth when I meant to have it in one. And I know what the tractor does. You damage one of these $1 million aircraft and some guy doesn't take responsibility, guess what? This contract is so badly written to think that the taxpayers of this city will not share the liability is ridiculous. He needs to provide what he says he will provide. Number three, just like I mentioned, everybody in this town ought to be able to use this tractor. It's fundamentally unfair to subsidize one business and not subsidize everybody else. Now, I don't know if you guys will allow me to, because I put this all together in one thing. I wanted to talk about the fuel sales, which was another problem that was recognized in this report. Do you want me to wait, or do you want me to continue, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, he needs to bring it up under public comment, try to stay on topic.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
While we're on that tractor, Mayor, can I ask the manager a question?
Sure.
Where could we use that tractor at? It was bought with grant money, correct?
I'd have to go back and research that. Probably was.
I've already researched it. That tractor has to stay on the airport. If it's sold, the money has to stay on the airport. It has to be put back into the airport.
Mayor, may I make a comment, please?
Yes.
My name is Butch Smith. I'm a local businessman, and apparently Pedro has set the council up tonight. You've got a couple of people that's come up here, and it's very plain. He's been a environmental engineer tonight. He's been a lawyer. He's been a business person. Why don't you, as a council, these points are, some of the points are good, but goodness gracious, let's get on with this thing. This is a witch hunt. It has nothing to do with that. It's to try to get rid of Chris Bennett because he is Dean Bennett's son. That's the point. If you got a contract, hey, throw him out. Let's go to a lawsuit. But stop letting this guy dominate everything that you do here. That's my point.
I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Can you come back up here, please?
No, I'll stand right here.
Okay. The business TNKY Energy Group Incorporated that you and Danny Page have, that's not registered in the state, that does not have a city
Let me
license.
just say this, you're a fool. I do not have that in
Mr.
any
Mayor.
way whatsoever, never have had it. You're
You're
crazy.
I
That's
have,
the facts. That's the facts.
Absolutely
The
not.
people are tired of you. That has nothing to do with anything. It's
Mr.
not
Mayor,
true.
they are not allowed to insult this panel.
Well, he needs to
Please
be
put an end to this.
He needs
You know,
to be
well, I tell you what, I moved down here in '91.
That's
All right.
Get a hold of him.
This city and this county has been so friggin' corrupt, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, Brockway, will you sit, please?
Certainly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's try and maintain a little order.
I think that David is very capable of addressing a lot of these issues with Chris. And I think Chris is very willing to go through and look at things that need to be considered. I spoke with both of them. This could be something David could discuss as well. I think.
all right, then I'll, sir, I have another agenda.
Okay.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
If it's so bad moving aircraft with a tractor, how come MasterCorp uses a tractor to move their aircraft?
MasterCorp owns that tractor. Now, that's MasterCorp's own tractor. They could do whatever they want to do with
Fine,
the
but he's
tractor.
saying that you need a tug.
No, sir, what I said was that his contract says that he will provide an aircraft hub,
Okay,
sir.
I have order,
That's
please.
what that's what the contract says.
Mr. Kimball.
Okay.
Next item.
Mr. Ridley, Public Records, would you like to speak on that, please?
What was the question?
The question is, on a business that has a contract with the city, are their records open to the public?
This question was asked to me before in regards to the fuel flow fees, and what I said on that was that I think we have an implied right to see those costs because we have a benefit that we derive from those flow fees, 5 cents a gallon. But there is some case law out there about independent contractors that work with the city and provide a functional equivalent of a government agency, an act that is the functional equivalent. Some cases say, Tennessee, some recent ones, that if you are found to have met the burden of providing a functional equivalent of a government agency, basically you are providing a service that the government would not normally perform, that your information is subject to the Tennessee Open Records Act, just like the municipal cities, counties, states. There is a test outlined there. That is one, the level of government function. The level of the government funding the entity. To the extent of the government involvement with regulation of or control over the entity. 3, whether the entity was created by an act of the legislature previously determined by law or open to the public. They go on, if a person receives funding from a public agency for administering or managing the program, if the public agency is involved in or regulates to a significant extent such person's administration or management program, if the person participates in the formulation of government policies, all these factors are to be weighed and then determined. And it's my opinion that more than likely this is providing a function of the city of Crossville that the city of Crossville could do themselves. They're probably acting as a government agency and probably open to Tennessee Open Records Act. But somebody can make that request of them, and if they didn't want to give it, go from there.
Thank you.
Since April 2008, the city has had an agreement with Crossville Area to receive 5 cents a gallon flow fee. Since April 2008, approximately 700,000 gallons of fuel has been used at the airport. Never during that period of time has the city conducted an audit. For lack of better words, this business relationship has been an honor system. While the contract only requires Crossville Aero to remit 5 cents a gallon and supply a monthly fuel report, the city has an implied access to review all records associated with inventory and sales. It's physically irresponsible to the taxpayers to not have in place a check and balance system to serve as oversight of a contractor, whether it be Chris Bennett or anyone else. It is a fiduciary responsibility of council to ensure such checks and balance systems are in place. In preparing my business plan, it was an essential responsibility to review and explore fuel sales as the largest source of revenue for the airport. On review of the unauthenticated fuel invoices I received, it was apparent the numbers were grossly off for 2012. Upon request, a resubmission was supplied, and it was an 80,000 gallon difference. In comparing the numbers presented, they do not reflect the gallons reported by the city, and we're 50,000 gallons off. Anyone who's done any auditing will see that as a flag. The disparity of missing fuel has been tried to be explained away, but falls short of reasonable accounting. In 1 year, there's an 18% loss. These numbers in themselves are inconclusive, as until recently, Crossville Aero declined to show the books, under the argument they did not have to. Not until legal opinion was produced did they agree to letting us look at the books. This is not, in my opinion, consistent with the open records law. If we have a request and we ask for the information and the company says you can have the information, but you can't talk about this part of